Okay, ECE 109, Social and Emotional Development. Just a few announcements before we go on to our Chapter 13 slides. First of all, welcome to class. Most of you already know, but in case you don't, my contact information is on my course connection. And I have two phone numbers listed there. One is the phone number at CCC. I'm only there on Tuesdays. So on Tuesdays during the day, if you're trying to get a hold of me, call Community Care College. If it's any other day of the week, please call the second phone number, which is my Google Voice number, and it will dial me at home so you can get in touch with me. Just so you know, I don't mind phone calls on the weekends, in the evening, as long as it's not too late. As long as it's before about 10 o'clock, I'm fine. So I want you guys to know that I'm here to help you out. Email me. Those of you that haven't yet, you could friend me on Facebook. Shady Snell Instructor is what it's currently under. Also, as far as beginning the new course goes, be sure and check your email daily if possible. If not, every other day would be great. And check in with our course page at least twice a week. And since most of you have had these courses before, and I like to keep them the same so that you know what to expect. You know that on Mondays are new assignment days. Wednesday, you should do your first post to the discussion board. And Sunday is when most of the other assignments are due. Both discussion boards and assignments are due by midnight. So keep an eye on that. One thing that I added was a course calendar. Did you guys get your course calendar in the email today? I sent one out. Let me see. It looks a little bit like this. You did. Wonderful. Okay. Have you guys gotten one of these before in one of your classes? I'm hoping this helps out. Katie, who teaches in the AOS classes, showed me that this is what she does for her courses in the first week. She just types up a little bit about what will be going on and puts it on a one page so that it's easy to see. Oh, good, Katrina. Yes, okay, yes, so we do have the online calendar. I'm the same way with you. The online calendar is okay, but I really like to see it printed out so I can look at everything and sort of get the big picture really easy. See if I can get my pointer working here. Where did I lose last time? The fingers, here we go. Okay, so you'll see how it's set up is you've got the weeks listed, week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. And you have a copy of this in your email. Up on the right-hand side at the top, you've got the chapters that we'll be covering. ECE is our Intro to ECE book. DAP is the Developmentally Appropriate Practices book. So we'll be going back and forth between those two. Then I've also listed the due dates for sort of the main things in the class. For instance, every Tuesday we've got our live lecture at 8:30. Every Wednesday you need to post an initial discussion to our 2 discussion boards. So every week you'll have 2 discussion boards to respond to. First post is due on Wednesday. Last 2 posts are due on Sunday, and that will get you a total of 30 points possible for your discussion boards. On Sunday, and I put the individual assignments for each week. This Sunday, you need to take week 1 quiz, do the review questions, do the week 1 video response. There are a few videos that are listed in each week to view. Some of them are observation type videos, and some of them are more informative. Also, discussion board peer responses times 2 means respond to 2 people in our course. And then lastly, the live lecture summary is due on Sunday if you did not attend the live lecture. So all of you that are here right now, you don't have to worry about that. I've written your name down for your point, so you don't have to worry about the live lecture summary. However, if for some reason you have to miss our live lecture, be sure and click on the recording. It takes me about a day to get that recording up on our course page. So by Wednesday evening, you should be able to access the recording, watch it, and then summarize it so that you can get your 100 points, because these are worth 100 points. I know things come up, so it's fine if you have to do that. I'd rather you be here so that you can ask questions if needed. Okay, then we've got week 2, and I won't go through each of these, but you get the idea. Week 3, week 4. One thing that I want you to notice in week 4, our past 2 classes have had projects due at the end in place of a final. For this course, we actually have an actual final exam. So you won't be doing a project that you need to build on each week. I know some of you will like this, some of you won't, but it's kind of a break from what we have been doing. So in our final week in week 4, you'll have your usual assignments, your discussion board. You have kind of a neat essay about your early friendships where you think about friends that you had earlier in your life and maybe how that impacted you. You do have a review, your final exam, and also our live lecture in that final week. So we've got it pretty set as to how things go. I like for you guys to know what's going to happen, and I try to make it as easy as possible. Okay, so we're going to go over tonight. Chapter 13 in the Intro to ECE book is Social Development Through the Curriculum. See, I think I put this picture twice. Let me check real quick. No, I didn't. Okay, I just want to explain real quick why I chose this picture. Since we're talking about social development in this course, take a look at each of these little kids on this page, and you can see a little bit about what's going on in their lives. We've got little girls holding hands, forming friendships. You've got one in the middle that might be a little more shy, this little cutie. You've got little boys laughing at each other. And you might also notice, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, notice the grouping. We've kind of got all the little girls together and all the little boys together. They sort of naturally flock that way. So, social development. The first thing I wanted to talk about, because this is actually kind of a hard concept to grasp. There are things that we want our children to be able to do. And here's a few ideas of what should actually be expected for a child that's about 3 to 4 years old. So I tried to pick an age that was in the middle, not too young, not younger grade school, but this early preschool time, right? 3 to 4 year olds, what do? They should be able to show a little independence, meaning they can do a few things on their own and also voice what's needed or stand up for themselves when needed. 3 and 4 years old, it's going to vary child to child. They should be able to follow classroom rules and routines, because what we're doing is getting them ready for school, and we want to set them up for success. They should play well with other children and be willing to share. But please make note that even with 3 and 4 year olds, we're still teaching those very much with our actions. We're teaching them how to play with other children, and we're teaching them how to share My niece sort of had the expectation that her 1- and 2-year-old should be able to share, and it would frustrate her and make her embarrassed. And I finally said, hey, don't worry about it. They're too young for that. They're still working on that skill. You know, they'll eventually get it. Try not to stress out. So also, they should start to recognize the feelings of others. And again, we might be teaching this in the classroom. They should be able to tell when another child is sad or happy and be able to label what emotions they're seeing in that child. They should be able to demonstrate a sense of humor, maybe at 3 and 4. Some kids at as late as 5 or 6, they may start telling jokes, and they will crack themselves up telling jokes. They should play with other children as opposed to by themselves or playing side by side but not interacting. We want them actually interacting and playing with the other children by about 3 or 4, and they get this through practice. They should enjoy playing house. They're mimicking what they see in their home, like the little girls on the screen are here. Looks like they're making a little meal and they're playing house together. They should be able to help with a few chores. Now, how many of you, first of all, just with a show of hands here, tell me, how many of you have children? One, two. Stephanie, okay. Chelsea, I knew that most of you do. Lauren, you have a toddler, right? Okay. So some of you have children that are in that age range, right? Chelsea, but I know you've worked with a lot of kids, haven't you, Chelsea? And Maria, you have one on the way. Oh, congratulations. Yes. So those of you that have either children in the 3 to 4 age range or have children that have gone through that stage, have you ever gone through having them do chores? Some people think that that's a little too soon, but that's actually about the age that I started with chores. Your oldest, and you started to do it with her. Good. Well, here's the thing about chores. They learn so much from it. They learn to help take care of their own home, to be a part of the family by helping out. Something I did with my children's studies, which I gave them a little bit of money. So in my mind, I am teaching them that when you work, that you get paid. So it may have been a quarter for picking the toys up. Some people say that is bribery, but it's worked great. My kids are now teenagers, and they will ask me if there's chores they can do. So fingers crossed that keeps going. Okay, Laura, what my daughter helps, it might not be right, but she's good. Exactly. You have to be okay with them not getting it exactly right. And letting them help and letting them fold the laundry, even though you may have to refold everything. That's okay. Well, good, because some just intrinsically want to. They want to help out. So it's good to come up with maybe a few chores that they can do each week. You know, kid-friendly chores. Next thing, another thing a lot of people don't realize, by 3 and 4, they should be able to focus on one activity for about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is actually more age 4 or the end of 4. And their attention span is starting to grow as they age. So they should be able to focus on something for that amount of time. They should be able to adjust to new situations, to separate fairly easily from their parent or caregiver when they're being dropped off. And I know you guys have probably witnessed quite a bit of this. They do get better at it with age. They should be able to trust and take directions from teachers as opposed to feeling the teacher is a stranger. They should be able to trust them and also be able to express their emotions, not by getting upset or crying, but to be able to start explaining how they're feeling. And that's one of our goals. That some of these things we'll be talking about through our course of ways that you can help children through these things. So that's kind of what the basics of what might realistically be expected socially from 3 to 4-year-olds. Okay, this is just a little bit about theory. In our book, it talks about social competence being our goal. We want to teach social competence through our actions, and we want to build it into our curriculum. So all those things that we just talked about can be addressed in the curriculum and can be taught. So we want them to develop positive social skills through planned activities and an environment that promotes socialization. Preschool, daycare, so much of it is really learning to be around other kids and how to act correctly. A few of the theories discussed in your book, and we're really just going to blaze over these really quick. You're welcome to read through them all. Some of the theoretical views of the socialization process, which means children becoming more of the social creatures that they are the constructivist view, the behaviorist view, and the Vygotskian view. Now, I'll hop on to the constructivist view first. If you look over here, here is a picture of Jean Piaget. He was pretty famous for his observation of children and how he believed they developed. Now, here's the thing about Piaget. He did come up with some wonderful things, but some people sort of criticized him because the main children that he observed were his own or his grandchildren. So he had a smaller sampling to compare to. But his theory was basically social knowledge is acquired in much the same way as other knowledge. Children use their evolving social cognition or social knowledge to organize and structure information about people and relationships. So he was more of a developmental constructivist. When you see the word constructivist, I want you to think of construction, of building. Children are built, is kind of how he believed. The next is the behaviorist view. So here we're focusing on behavior. Children are taught about the social world when their responses are reinforced by adults who shape their behavior, and we see this quite a bit. The social learning theory goes beyond the behaviorist theory in that they believe children learn social behaviors through observing, learning, or observing other people. This might be the little kid that sort of sits in the corner and likes to watch everybody else to see how they're reacting to a situation. Children learn social behaviors through modeling, and modeling is, again, as a teacher, you will be a role model, and the behaviors that you exhibit may be the ones that your children pick up on, and definitely as a parent, you're modeling behaviors, positive behaviors that you want them to repeat. And the last one is Vygotskian. Oh my goodness, I've forgotten his first name. I'm wanting to say it's Paul. Vygotsky believed that adults provide scaffolding, or in other words, they support and guide to help children learn socially relevant skills. Now, to me, this sounds the theory that's most like preschool, what we hear in in Head Start, and the role that we take on as a teacher. So we're supporting, we're guiding them, and we're teaching them these skills. He believed adults and more experienced peers, meaning children that were a little bit older than them, transport information about culture, social skills, and expectations. So those are just sort of the three main theories talked about in the book. Social competence, which was brought up before. How do children become socially competent? Here's a few different ways. Interacting with their peers, maybe children that are the same age as them or family members. They also learn social competence through mixed age grouping. So lots of times you see the smaller child picking up the habits of the larger or older child because they're in a mixed group, so they can learn from each other. I think about family reunions when I think about the mixed age group, that we can learn so much from each other, from the babies up to the senior citizens in the family. They also learn socially through their friendships, what their friends say or friends do. And something that they also learn socially about is gender role. Now, two things that are talked about in the book that I think are really interesting are gender identity, which they say that around the age of 2, children know if they are a boy or a girl, around 2. However, it's not until about the age of 5 to 7 where they reach this gender stability. And gender stability is just basically they realize that they are a boy or a girl, and this is the way they will stay. So it's not that they're going to magically change when they turn 8 to the different sex, just that this is where they're at. So gender identity and gender stability are two terms you need to remember. And here are a few fabulous things about teaching in a non-sexist way. You see this on TV, you see it on the internet, and it seems strange that we even have to think about this, but we do. Sometimes you do things that you don't even realize may be taken in a sexist fashion. So we're valuing the child as an individual. We're helping the children learn that their gender identity is biological. So they're born with these certain parts that make them a boy or a girl. We're aware of possible gender biases in your behavior. For instance, if a little boy asks you a question, do you describe things more to them than you would to a girl? You may be doing that subconsciously. Or maybe vice versa, you're giving short answers to the girl or to the boy and then longer answers to the girl because girls tend to be more verbal. Be careful that you're listening to the children, giving their undivided attention to both sexes. Help children find the words to get their nurturance needs met. And what this means is, in the book it talks about how little boys are less likely to ask for hugs than little girls. So sometimes instead of waiting for them to ask you for a hug, you maybe want to volunteer that. Do you need a hug? Would you like a hug? So that we even that out, and that helps them learn what they're wanting. We use language carefully. We avoid bias towards the male identity, and an example there is that when we're talking about male or female, maybe we say he or she instead of just he, because in the past he has been considered the gender neutral term, but now they're saying no, not so much. It's kind of sexist to use that. We provide materials that show males and females in a variety of roles, not just the stereotypical roles. We select books that portray non-sexist models. And one thing that I think of is like the family book, where dad is helping take care of the children. They're not split down the middle as far as mom takes care of the kids and dad just mows the lawn. You know, we want both sexes portrayed. Plan a wide variety of activities so that either can participate. Provide gender-neutral toys for infants and toddlers. I've got a few pictures to show you about this that I think is really neat. And discuss blatant sex stereotyping with children. One thing that comes to mind on that with me is don't say cry like a girl. Are you going to cry like a girl? So that's very sexist. That's saying that we're weak, and we're not. We know we're strong, and we want the little boys and girls to know that as well. And wasn't that a Nike ad that had something like that? Hit like a girl, run like a girl. Okay, so here is a great picture. Take a look at this. This is actually a German advertisement. If you could read it, we can know what's actually said there. But what do you like? Tell me, what do you like about this advertisement? Why do you think it's gender neutral toy? The colors, yes, that's the #1 thing that stood out to me too, Benita. Most of the kitchens, the play kitchens that you see up there may be pink and purple. I have noticed a few brown ones lately, which is nice. So here we have kind of a blue and a green, and it's not a primary color blue and green. It's pretty soothing actually, that so that a boy or a girl might enjoy it. What else do you see just in the advertisement? Both have an apron and a hat. That's the same, yes. It's not a pink ruffly apron for the girl and an apron with a dog on the front or something, you know, for a boy. They're both the same. They're both the same color. And how about just the fact that there is a boy in the picture? We don't see that a lot in American advertising. We sort of, we still do that bias thing without realizing it. Okay, here's a second one that I really like. Because if you look through the catalogs, if you look through the advertisements, you almost always see it's just the boys playing with the cars, right? And here we have, again, this is a German advertisement. We have a boy and a girl and different colors of cars. And even the racetrack is, again, a little more neutral itself, too, because it's a lighter blue and orange and a gray. So, therefore, hopefully girls are going to be attracted to it as well. So I really liked that they are consciously doing that, paying attention to them being a little more gender neutral. Okay, a little bit about teaching about race and culture, because this is also very important. I had a book I was going to bring in for our lecture, and I accidentally left it at the office. That's like 50 ways to celebrate culture in your classroom. Here's a few guidelines when children bring up racial and cultural differences. Talk about it. Don't tell them to go away. Don't try to ignore it. Talk about it. Have a discussion. How races are different, how nationalities are different, because it's a beautiful thing. Help children develop pride through positive racial and cultural identity. Celebrate each of their races and culture in the classroom as much as you can. Help children develop positive attitudes about other races. You're being the role model, and you want to be all positive for them to give them a good chance in life as well. Help children see skin color variations as a continuum rather than extremes. And you know, someday I just feel like we're all going to be brown. We're going to just we'll all be mixed, and so we won't have the super white girls like me with the red hair, and we won't have the super dark skin tone. We'll just all be kind of medium, and that'd be great. I look forward to the time when we fill out a job application and we don't have to check the box that says what race we are. We're just human. Another thing you can do is post photographs of children and their family, all different shapes, sizes, colors. Ensure that the environment contains materials representing many races and cultures. So we want posters up on the wall. We want books about different cultures. Discuss incidences of racism and racial stereotypes with children. Not in a lot of detail, but it's fine to touch on this and talk about the good and the bad and the situations of what might be going on. Focus curriculum material about cultures on similarities among people rather than the differences. Again, I kind of talked about that. We're all humans. Avoid a tourist approach to teaching about cultures. That's where you sort of examine, here's this one country and this is what they look like and this is what they eat, because that's not really realistic. We have such a variety in each culture. It should be more on a daily basis, something natural in your classroom. Make cultural diversity part of daily classroom activities. So it's not a special week. It's happening all the time. Convey diversity of cultures through common themes. Celebrate holidays and talk about them. Don't single out a minority child in any way because you don't want them feeling uncomfortable. And involve the children's families as much as possible as well. We want everyone tied together. Some other things include multicultural pictures. I love this picture. Look at those faces. And then over here, we have multicultural dolls. And you'll notice that we've also addressed the issues of the dolls aren't just girls. We have our boy dolls as well. And I picked this particular set out to show us the example because some of the multicultural dolls, it's just a difference in skin color and their faces really don't look different. I like this set because you can see eye differences and hair differences, and it really sort of brings it out, and a child of that race is going to go, yeah, that's me right there. You know, that's great. That's a doll that looks like me. And let me see, we're at near the bottom. We're almost done, guys. We want to talk a little bit about sensitivity towards people, and we're talking about children but adults as well with disabilities. You've probably been in that awkward situation before, maybe with a child that you're watching, your own child, a niece or nephew, where they spot someone with a disability and they stare. And that's just, they're not doing it to be mean, they're curious. And what I've discovered is a lot of people with disabilities will share that with you, what happened. You know, maybe a little boy notices that somebody's missing a leg and they'd like to know. Now, not everybody will share, but you can usually kind of tell by looking at them and their reaction to the child. If they'll go, hey, you know, I was in a car wreck, so they know what happened, or maybe they were born that way. So children can learn to develop their understanding of different people, that we're all different. They may need accurate information about why a peer or a teacher looks differently or behaves differently. And a great example of this that I think of is when I was in 4th grade. A good friend of mine was diagnosed with diabetes. She had to give herself shots at school from 4th grade. Now this was back in the 1980s, 1970s. So we really didn't know a lot about diabetes. We didn't understand it. The other kids didn't. So she brought her kid to school and showed us what she does and why she has to do that. And then after that, there were no more questions. The class knew. So it was great. It was almost like a little assembly that they had for us to help understand what was going on. So children need opportunities to learn about and dispel stereotypes in order to build an accepting atmosphere. Here's a few examples. Look at this little cutie. I want to hug her so bad. She's using her walker, a disability that another child would notice, but they're also going to want to play with her. Here we have a little Downs boy. Their face may look a little different, but man, they're happy playing with a ball. And here we have a little boy that doesn't have an outward disability. So do you have any idea what might be going on with this little boy just from looking at him? I'll see if you guys can guess. Bingo, exactly, Katrina. Exactly, he is autistic. And right in this picture, he's probably experiencing a little sensory overload. So he's putting his fingers in his ears to try to make it quiet so that he can maybe calm down or feel better. So, you know, autistic children are something that we can't necessarily identify by looking at them. It's more of a behavior thing that we notice, and children notice this too, and it's perfectly fine for the classroom to talk about it. You know, these are some things to expect. My daughter had a great boy move in 7th grade who was autistic. His mom sent a letter to all the 7th grade students explaining what his autism was and how it affected him and what they could do to help him out. And they just bonded around him. He is their favorite person in the class now. So, and now they'll be in 9th grade soon. So I love that his mom took that approach. A little bit about morals really quick. Morals are interpersonal moral rules. Usually goes along with cultures. We don't want to harm people. Conventional moral rules are rules about appropriate dress, and these are all things that we teach in early childhood. No hitting, no biting. You don't wear your pajamas to school unless it's pajama day, then it's okay. So we pick up morals as we go along. We use other-oriented reasoning with children to help teach morals. An example of this is if a child hits another child. We go through the process of saying, how would you feel if you were hit? Would that make your arm hurt? Would you feel bad? So you want them to develop a little bit of a sense of empathy of how it would feel like to the other one. We set clear and appropriate expectations and behavior in our rules. We use stories to promote thinking and discuss moral issues. Now, something I noticed when I was searching the internet, I tried to find a video teaching morals. Now, there's a few of them out there in English, but I found a huge amount of videos in Hindu. So the Indian culture really seems to put a lot of emphasis on teaching morals through storytelling. If you do a search on YouTube, you'll find lots of Indian videos on morals of the story, and how one thing can help affect another. Provide ample time for child-selected play and materials that promote cooperation, because sharing is also a part of moral development. Provide activities that help children become more aware of how the face conveys emotions. You can do this by showing children pictures of a happy child, a sad child, a mad child, and they can recognize what's going on in the face to start connecting that to their emotions. Initiate thinking games that encourage children to seek multiple alternatives for social problems and deal with moral intentionally. So we want them to be able to have the skills to deal with situations and realize that not all cultures share the same values. We try to choose the values to teach that are most universally accepted, but they're not going to be exactly the same. Sometimes if you have a child come in that's a different nationality, be sensitive to that and realize this may not be something very important in their culture, and back up and maybe help teach that if it's going to be something that affects the classroom. So our question, what areas of early childhood setting, what areas promote social skills? I want you to think of a daycare, think of a preschool, think of the different areas that we teach. Where do we teach skills, social skills? Let's see what my best answer is here. What do you guys think? Picture them coming to school, going to class. What setting or what settings promote social skills? Recess, yes, that's a huge one. That was a huge social time, isn't it? Gym class, yes. And recess is a little more free. Gym is a little more structured. But in both instances, they're going to have to share and play well with others, right? Lunchtime, yes. Social skills, we're teaching them how to eat properly around other people, to not just use your hands, right? Show and tell, yes. Storytelling, those are all really good examples. And I think the main thing is that I think when you think about the program that we teach social skills in all areas, starting from the minute they get there, when they're greeted at school, how they respond. When they move to their classroom, they do it in an appropriate way. How they behave in the classroom is a social skill. And then we go on to the ones that you guys brought up, lunchtime, gym time, recess time. And then we get to the very end of the day to saying our goodbyes and telling them to have a good night and that we'll see them tomorrow. So we are constantly doing this. We're always teaching social skills, sometimes intentionally in the curriculum and sometimes unintentionally just by being a good role model, basically, being a good person. So that is the end of our live lecture. Are there any questions tonight? Do you guys feel like you're raring to go? You're ready to get your homework out of the way, get week 1 under wraps? Right? Oh, Chelsea, by the way, I do your site visit next week. You'll be doing your externship soon. Congratulations. So I'll be there next Tuesday. Yay! No problem, Chelsea. All right, guys, have a great night. Contact me if you have any questions, and get on out of here, okay? I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.